Most dogs pull on the lead. Some pull a little bit and others pull quite a lot. Why does it happen? Are there things we can do about it? Let's go. So, why do dogs pull? Well, there are several reasons. Reason number one is that we simply walk too slowly for how a dog would naturally go about her interactions with the environment. Look, I am a fairly fit guy and I can't keep up with the natural pace of most dogs. Even Pixel, with her short little legs, is way faster and more agile than I am. Reason number two is that the environment is constantly cueing the dog to move forward and pull so that he can get to new reinforcers. We humans like to check our email inbox and our WhatsApp messages. Dogs absolutely love to check their email. Pulling gets them there. For example, as the environmental cue or antecedent, we can have the dog seeing a bush to sniff. The behavior is that the dog pulls. The consequence is that the dog gets to sniff the bush. Our prediction here would be that the pulling will continue in the future. Reason number three is that even when we are trying to train the dog to walk on a loose leash, in almost every situation we often do not maintain good criteria 100% of the time. If we create a training plan for loose leash walking, but then occasionally walk with tension on the leash, that behavior will probably be maintained in the future. Actually, let's geek out on behavior here for a second. Say, for example, that you are mostly consistent and you do not move forward when the dog pulls about 90% of the time. For 10% of the time, however, you end up moving forward, for whatever reason it may be. That situation there is possibly maintaining the pulling behavior on a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement, which can actually be more powerful than if you just went with the pulling all the time. Reason number four is that sometimes the dog gets to reinforcement in a way that is imperceptible for us. For example, the dog might start pulling and we stop. We are making sure that our feet are not moving, but perhaps there is a little bit of give with our shoulder and the dog reaches something to sniff. On a quick analysis, that type of situation might look like there is no reinforcement happening, but it may very well be occurring. That is why in recent times I have not been recommending the red light, green light game for teaching loose leash walking, especially if we are talking about adolescent or adult dogs. That procedure is the one in which you only move forward when there is no tension on the leash and totally stop when there is tension. It sounds good, but I think it makes it pretty easy to offer some of these less obvious reinforcers that I just mentioned. So, what can we do about all of this? With young puppies, I think it is worth trying to teach loose leash walking from the start. Keep your criteria sharp and offer lots of reinforcement when the leash is loose and in a J shape. Additionally, consider your environment and start in a low distraction situation, such as indoors, before moving outside to face bigger distractions. Always have lots of delicious treats and other reinforcers when you go out for a walk. Are you finding this information helpful? What about offering me some positive reinforcement and hitting that like button real quick? Thank you. Now back to the video. If you already have a dog with a strong history of pulling and you literally cannot take one step without tension on the leash, I think it is okay to use the two-device approach. For example, you use a back attachment harness when pulling will be happening and a no-pull harness or a flat collar for when you will be training in a less distracting environment and where you can maintain 100% criteria. For some dogs, the no-pull harness might be the best option for when pulling will be occurring and the collar for when you are training. The idea here is that you will have two options that feel physically different to the dog so that he has an indication as to where the pulling will be happening. For example, harness equals pulling is okay, collar equals high rate of reinforcement, and look at the human. A behavior professional can help you decide how best to go about all of this with your specific dog. With all that said, keep in mind that loose leash walking is a pretty complex behavior, and it is totally fine if you and your dog are not perfect at it. Confession, I am far from perfect at it, and sometimes if I am spending a short amount of time with a given dog, I might even decide to prioritize other aspects of training. I've got a question for you. Does your dog pull? Let me know in the comment section below if your dog pulls more on the way out or on the way back. I am very curious to know. If you want to support the work that I do here, you can buy me a coffee. It is super easy and I will leave a link in the description under the video. The 2 videos on screen right now will teach you some of my favorite exercises to teach loose leash walking, and will show you one of my favorite no pull dog harnesses. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!